We are the most connected generation in human history. We carry devices that allow us to reach anyone, anywhere, at any time. We have more friends, more followers, more contacts than any generation before us, and we are drowning in loneliness. Not the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone. You can feel that one, name it, and solve it by walking into a room full of people. I'm talking about the other kind, the one that follows you into the room, the one that sits with you at the dinner table, the one that whispers, even while you're surrounded by people, "Nobody here really knows me." This is not a modern inconvenience. This is not a mood. This is the oldest pain in the human experience, and it is trying to tell us something. The epidemic. In the 1840s, a Danish philosopher named Søren Kierkegaard wrote something that sounds like it was written yesterday. He said, "The crowd is untruth. The more we lose ourselves in the collective, in the noise, the opinions, the trends, the further we drift from genuine connection, from ourselves and from each other." Kierkegaard couldn't have imagined social media, but he understood something essential about human nature, that being surrounded by people and being connected to people are two completely different things. And what he feared most has come true. We have built a world where you can have 10,000 followers and no one to call at 2 a.m. But the loneliness epidemic is not just a philosophical problem. It is a medical one. Research, and the research on this is overwhelming, shows that chronic loneliness affects the body the way smoking does. It raises cortisol. It weakens the immune system. It changes the structure of sleep. The cardiovascular system under chronic loneliness operates in a state of low-grade alarm, as if the body knows that being alone, for a social species, is an emergency. Because it is. Why we withdrew. So why did this happen? How did we get here? The answer is uncomfortable. Because it's not just the algorithm. It's not just technology. It's not just modern life. It's us. Somewhere along the way, we decided that needing people was a weakness, that self-sufficiency was the highest virtue, that the strongest version of you is the one who doesn't need anyone. And we optimized accordingly. We built lives that are efficient, autonomous, private. We can order food without speaking to a human. We can work without leaving our homes. We can be entertained for a lifetime without ever being in the same room as the person making us laugh. We didn't just lose connection. We designed it out of our lives. And the reason we did is simple. Connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability hurts. To be truly known by another person, you have to let them see the parts of you that you're not proud of, the messy parts, the parts that don't fit the curated image. And that is terrifying. So we perform connection instead. We post, we comment, we react, we send hearts and emojis. We maintain the illusion of intimacy without ever risking the real thing. And it works until it doesn't. Until 2 a.m., until the diagnosis, until the breakup, until the moment you realize that all those connections were data, not depth. Why we cannot become human alone. Now, here's where this video takes a turn, because so far, everything I've said is a diagnosis. And a diagnosis without a direction is just despair dressed up as insight. So let me tell you something that changed how I understand everything about loneliness. It comes from evolutionary biology, and it's this. Human beings are the only species on Earth that cannot survive its own infancy alone. A horse stands within an hour of being born. A sea turtle finds the ocean without help. But a human infant, left alone, dies. Not in weeks, in days. We are born radically dependent, and not just physically, neurologically. A child's brain does not develop properly without connection, without eye contact, without touch, without the sound of another human voice. The neural pathways that govern emotional regulation, empathy, and even language simply do not form correctly. We don't just benefit from connection, we are built by it. And it doesn't stop in childhood. Mirror neurons, discovered by Italian neuroscientists in the 1990s, show that when you watch another person experience something, your brain fires the same circuits as if you were experiencing it yourself. You don't just observe other people's emotions, you feel them, literally, at the level of neurons. We are wired for each other, not as a preference, as a biological fact. The philosopher Martin Buber understood this at a level that goes even deeper than neuroscience. He said, "You don't discover who you are by looking inward. You discover who you are through encounter, through the moment when you truly meet another person, not as an object to use, but as a presence to behold." He called this the I-thou relationship, and he believed it was the most sacred thing a human being can experience. Not God, not achievement, not self-knowledge. Encounter, the moment you see and are seen. What it takes to reconnect. So if we know all this, if the science is clear, if the philosophy is clear, if our own bodies are screaming for connection, why is it still so hard to reach out? Because reaching out requires the one thing our culture has taught us to avoid at all costs: being seen as needy. But here's the truth that nobody says out loud. You are needy. I am needy. Every human who has ever lived was needy. Need is not a bug in the human design. It is the design. And the way back is not complicated. It's just uncomfortable. It starts with small acts of genuine presence, not grand gestures, not vulnerability performances on social media, not confessing your deepest fears to a stranger. It's this: sitting with someone without your phone, asking a question and actually listening to the answer, letting someone see you when you're not at your best, saying, "I'm struggling. Can you be here?" The Tao Te Ching says, "The sage does not compete and therefore has no rivals." In connection, this translates to stop performing, stop curating, stop trying to be interesting, and start being present. Because presence is the only cure for loneliness. Not proximity, not shared interests, not small talk. Presence. The willingness to be in the same room as another person with your armor off. And here's what I want to say most urgently. Community is not a lifestyle choice. It is the condition of our survival as a species, not just emotionally, not just psychologically, literally, evolutionarily. We are not individuals who sometimes connect. We are connections that sometimes feel individual. So here's the lesson nobody taught you about loneliness. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something is right with you. Your loneliness is your biology telling you the truth. You are not meant to do this alone. No one is. No one ever was. Every great civilization, every spiritual tradition, every indigenous culture understood this, that the individual, separate from the whole, is an abstraction, a modern invention. A beautiful, productive, catastrophically lonely experiment. The cure is not out there. It's not an app. It's not a retreat. It's not finding your tribe on the internet. The cure is a choice you make tomorrow morning and the morning after that, to reach out, to show up, to let someone in. Not because it's easy, but because it's what you are built for. If you watch this far, I want you to know you are not alone in feeling alone. And the fact that you're here, listening, thinking about this, that's already connection happening. This is part of a series called Lessons Nobody Taught You. Each video is one chapter of a bigger story about the things we were never told, but always needed to hear. If this reached you, send it to someone who needs to hear it. That's the whole point.